over your notes from working through the first part of the brand boot camp. Now, I've had a read through of your workshop notes and reviewing a little bit of where you're at with your colours, and I definitely would agree with you that avoiding the bright yellows is the way to go at this stage, because yellow, although it's a fun and friendly colour, it's also a colour that we process first, and hence why that it's used in kind of warning signs and things like that. But however, I would still consider and look at a warm kind of soft orangey yellow colour, because that will be the perfect balance of fun and friendly and action taking. So I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a minute. But another key side of things that popped out for me as reading through your notes was that your core brand message really feels very much one of support and guidance and care. There's a lot of caring nature that comes across in the way that you've described in yourself, and the way that you've answered your questions, and the way that you want your customers to perceive you and your brand. So we're going to really want to make this the core focus for your brand colours. Now, I've pulled out, and I'll pop some notes below this video for you as well, some of the key themes that we can translate into core words and phrases, and then pull this together to give you your base colours, the kind of core colour combinations that are most suited to your brand using the psychology kind of connections of colours, and then I will give you a little sneak peek of some of the proposed colour palettes that I would suggest that you explore based on these results. So first up, some of the key themes that are really coming out are this kind of live happy, the motivation and empowering and being happy and caring and supporting and trustworthy. So from these themes, I've narrowed down your 3 core words to be around motivating, empowering and support. And there were 2 really core phrases that sprung out to me when I was reading through your notes, and those were the using mind biology to set people free from their belief, and empowering people to free themselves from their beliefs. So very similar phrases there, but something that stood out to me was obviously using mind biology, because that's not something that you hear people use or talk about a lot. So I'd really think that's quite core in your brand messaging, to bring that kind of biology, the science behind setting people free from their beliefs, because otherwise it can go into quite a woolly area when you're talking about empowering people to set them free from their beliefs, and really just solidifying everything back down to this mind biology really brings that feeling of the science behind what you're talking about here. So from this, I've pulled out some of your base colours, and I'll just give you a little overview of what those colours are before I show you the colour palettes working together. So first up, for your primary base colour for your brand, I would recommend looking at turquoise. Now, turquoise is the kind of colour of communication and clarity of thought and balance and harmony, but it's also a calming, compassionate, healing colour, and has a lot of connections in the kind of self-expression world. So that really fits with your core brand message. And then the next colour I would recommend we look at is, as I mentioned before, the kind of yellow-orange colour. So nothing bright and too vibrant, no warning sign yellows, more of the warm yellow-orange colour, which brings in the kind of happy, optimistic, uplifting, decision-making traits of yellow, and matches that with the motivational, action, friendly, kind of fun and confident style of orange. So then another colour that we can start to pick up and use, maybe perhaps as a bit of a pop colour, just using it sparingly throughout your brand, would be pink, because pink is a compassionate colour. It's one that's associated with understanding and nurture and warmth and hope and calming. It's also obviously very feminine and intuitive. And the final colour that I would look at bringing in as part of your kind of core base colours for your brand would be white. So white is very much a symbol of new beginnings, of clarity. It's simple, it's open, and it's a complete, although not technically a colour, but useful to have one of these kind of neutral tones in your brand. So, but speaking of tones, something to always note and remember when choosing the actual tone of colours for your brand is that deep and light and soft kind of muted tones are more often associated with higher level offerings, and the bright kind of vivid colours are usually more associated with lower level offerings. So that being said, let's take a look at some of the examples of colours that I would recommend that we look at for your brand. So here you go. You can see 4 colour options that I've put together for you, and they all base around variations of that turquoise, yellow, orange, white and a pop of pink. They are very much around the kind of deep, light, soft, muted tones. There are some bright and vivid colours in there because it's useful to have a balance between the two. And so there we have it. Those are the colours that I would recommend that you explore a little bit further with your brand offering and your messaging. And of course, if you would like any more support or help taking these colours, picking perhaps a full colour palette to use for your brand and associating that with your launch side of your brand and creating your launch materials for you, then I would be more than happy to have another chat with you to see if I could help you in actually designing and pulling this brand together for your launch. So if that's something that you would be interested in, just let me know and I will give you a few more details about that. But either way, I hope you found this useful, and I very much look forward to seeing what you choose to use for your brand colours.